Hello everybody and welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast for another match review. I apologise, there was no match preview for this one, Oxford United versus Watford in the Carabao Cup. The main reason behind that was I just didn't have the time to be able to get the preview out before the game, to be honest with you. Obviously, the last match reaction was on Saturday after our opening day defeat against Lincoln. Thank you very much for the support on that as well. Thank you very much to everyone on the comments as well, leaving your thoughts on the match as well. That's much appreciated. I read through all of them, as I always do, through every single episode of the podcast and every single comment on them. Thank you very much for the support on that. Thank you very much for the continued support on the podcast as well. We're not going to beat around the bush in this one. We're going to crack straight on with the match reaction of Oxford United Watford in the Carabao Cup game last night. Apologies, it's not the same day, but unfortunately, obviously, the game finished quite late last night, and obviously, I don't really want to release an episode of the podcast at 12 o'clock, at midnight tomorrow, last night or this morning, whichever way you look at it. Because obviously people aren't going to be able to watch that, and some people won't be able to listen or watch the podcast or whatever. So it's better to get it out the next day in that situation, which is what we're doing today. So hopefully you don't mind that. Sorry about that. Obviously, normally is the day of. Unfortunately, this one isn't, though. Before we start this episode of the podcast, I'd like to ask you if you could subscribe to the Young Fan Podcast YouTube channel. That would be much appreciated as well. Turn notifications on as well, so you never miss an episode of the podcast. Can we try and get 70 subscribers by the end of this episode? If we can get this episode up and get to 70 subscribers after listening to this episode of the podcast, that would be fantastic. Turn notifications on so you never miss an episode. Follow the Twitter as well, link in the description to the Twitter at young_podcast, and follow the Instagram page as well at the Young Fan Podcast on Instagram. All the latest news on the podcast and where and the direction we go in the podcast in terms of new episodes, new ideas, etc. As well. Feel free to DM that as well if you're watching with new ideas and different things we can do on the podcast as well. I'm open to ideas, of course I am. Today, though, we've got a match reaction, of course. Like I've already said, thank you very much for the support on all the episodes of the podcast. But the last one was very, very good, just listening and reading through all of your thoughts on the game, the people that have either watched the game or listened to it on the radio, whatever, on the Lincoln game as well. Disappointing stuff, that one. But a more positive one today because it was a much better performance. We're playing against a championship side, a top-end championship side, obviously just been relegated from the Premier League in Watford, who did, yes, play a weakened side, but certainly were or are still a top-end championship side. They've got fantastic players, and anyone signed on to play for Watford are clearly pretty decent. They don't have players that are not good enough to play at Watford, probably playing for Watford, because they're a top-end championship side that are obviously having ambitions to get back into the Premier League. I'm pretty sure that's self-explanatory. If you've just been relegated or whatever, you want to be getting straight back into the Premier League, and I'm guessing that's no different for Watford. Yeah, they didn't play their main team. Yes, they didn't play the likes of, when you think Watford, you think Troy Deeney. He wasn't. He didn't start. I don't think he definitely didn't come on. I don't know why I don't think he came on. I don't think he was even named on the bench, if I'm being honest. When I think Watford, Emiliano Sarr, I don't think he was even on the bench either. So, it wasn't the first team Watford side, things like that. But it was still a good Watford side, a pretty decent Watford side. Not top end, but a couple of the youngsters giving them a run out, and ultimately the youngsters of a championship side probably should be giving Oxford United a good game. And you have to also remember as well, Oxford United are playing. I don't like to say the word fringe players and the second players, but they are playing a slightly weakened side because they know they've got a huge game on Saturday, and we've got a huge game. In terms of, well, it was big anyway, but after the league for opening day performance against Lincoln, it's even bigger now that we get a good result there. In terms of, we'll be doing the player ratings, of course we will. In terms of my notes and stuff, I did sort of talk a lot about defensive cover, Sam Long, left back, right back. What my thoughts are obviously after Josh Ruffels' injury. At the end of that episode, we didn't really have any information, so we couldn't speak about the sort of how serious the Josh Ruffels injury is, and under injuries as well. Of course, we did know Gorin was going to be out for up to a month in that episode of the podcast, but we didn't speak about Ruffels because we just simply didn't really know the situation. We know he came off injured. We've got more information on that. At the moment, we have got quite a long injury list. I think that's pretty self. I think a lot of people, if you're an Oxford fan, will know the situation. We've got injuries. Gorin obviously is up to a month out. We did know that. Taylor is carrying a minor knock as well. No information about how long he could be out. He could be back for Saturday. We don't know. Sykes hopefully is. Sykes obviously similar to Taylor, minor knock from what we can hear, but no information yet on that situation. Josh Ruffles, no surgery needed is the information there, but still going to be 3 to 4 weeks out, so probably going to be about a month. Going to be a month out. They say 3 to 4 weeks, but it normally is the biggest of the two. 3 looks like it's probably when he gets back into training. And 4 weeks is probably when he's match fit again. So it's looking like it's probably going to be a month out without Josh Ruffles. Massinho obviously came off injured, just to add to the more injury issues. We obviously came off injured last night. John Massinho doesn't look great from sort of first looking. Same knee issues as last season, which obviously sent him out for quite a long period of time. That's obviously when we had Dickey and Moore sort of blossom their partnership when Massinho sort of was injured in sort of the latter stages of the season, just sort of pre-lockdown. So, it's not ideal to add to the injury list. And Massinho, you can say what you want about Massinho's age, and you can argue, that maybe Massinho isn't our starting centre back anymore, and Atkinson is sort of the starting centre half on this Oxford side. But the problem we've got is now Massinho was good cover. He offered leadership, but we know that, being the club captain. He offered experience at the age he is, and he's still not a bad centre back. And without him, it is frustrating that he isn't going to be available for what it looks like at months at this stage. So really disappointing from that. And it's always disappointing when a player gets an injury, but a player like Massinho getting injured is just simply not ideal. We're going to have to deal without it because it doesn't look like it's going to be a short-term win either. Final one of the injury list is Sam Winner, of course, the player we have not seen any of here at Oxford United, well, in an Oxford United shirt. Obviously, we signed him as a striker. It must have been nearly a week ago now. Just under a week ago, I think it was last Friday, it got officially announced. Still out after a short pre-season. Of course, he wasn't training with Oxford United for as long as a lot of the new signings and the players have been at Oxford. Unlikely to be on the bench for Saturday from what it looks like. We thought he would be back on the bench for Oxford against Sunderland, for Oxford on Saturday. Suggestions were actually thinking that he did travel with the squad to Lincoln. But I'm pretty sure there is something wrong there with a potential knock that is going to see him have to sit out on the sidelines for a few more games, a few more weeks, because he obviously had a very short pre-season compared to the other lads as well. So that's the injury list. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 injuries, if I'm not wrong. 6 injuries on the list, which is not ideal for Carl Robinson. It makes selection definitely more difficult. It makes it easier in terms of, he hasn't got to think about it too much, but it's difficult in terms of picking a team with less many injuries because these are big players gone. If Taylor's out and Taylor isn't available on Saturday, that, hopefully, fingers crossed he is, because if Taylor's not available, nor's Winnell, that's two strikers out. Sykes is available. He offers fantastic threat down the left and down the right. And good cover in midfield as well if he can, but prominently left and right, winger roles for Sykes, and if he's not available, that's a huge situation and a huge loss. Gorin, of course, we know won't be available for Saturday. Massinho does not look like he's going to be ready for Saturday. We know Ruffles isn't available for Saturday. So 3 players that have got potential small knocks, being Winnell, Taylor and Sykes, and we haven't really had too much information about if they will be available for Saturday, but fingers crossed they are, because they are important players. We've been speaking about players as well. This is a match review, of course it is, so let's crack on with that. Defensive cover needs to be sorted out, because today I think we definitely show... I keep saying today like we played it today. Yesterday, we definitely showed that we need defensive cover with Massinho coming off injured. Sam Long now covering left back, right back and centre back. That's an issue. We've already discussed the Sam Long situation at left back and right back. We need to get that sorted because he's already covering 2 fullback positions, and now obviously he was playing right centre back, was it left or right centre back when he came on? When he moved there, when Massinho came off. I'm pretty sure Nico Jones was on the bench. I'm not sure why he came on. He wouldn't have been, I'm sure he wouldn't be on the bench because he would have definitely come on. He might have been, but Sam Long moved to fullback. From fullback to centre back, so he's now showing his ability playing in all different areas of the pitch, both fullbacks and centre back. Now, so all the three all the three defensive areas Sam Long is showing cover for, which is great, but it does mean now we've got issues, even more lack of defensive cover. But I think generally today, yesterday, I keep saying today. If I say today, I'm not going to correct myself every time. But fringe players giving Carl Robinson a headache for sure for selection on Saturday, because you've got players that don't normally play and certainly are knocking on Carl Robinson's door, asking some serious questions about selection on Saturday. Robbie Orr probably couldn't have had a better game if he was going to show Carl Robinson what he's all about. In terms of, he wasn't even named on the bench against Lincoln, and he had one of the performances of his life last night. I thought Anthony Ford was top quality, of course, showing his sort of adaptability in all areas of midfield. Out on the right at right back, I thought he did really well when he covered in there. I thought generally Anthony Ford looked superb today. Some of the balls he was put in the box and free kicks as well. I thought he was top notch. And really, really showing his quality in all areas of the pitch, because he was all over the shop, but in a very, very good way. Really impressed with Anthony Ford. And, it's all those players as well. This is Sam Long. We didn't know how important Sam Long was going to be this season, or even the end of last season, really. And the opportunity he's had to come in and do such a fantastic job is fantastic. And, even Dan Hadji, I thought Dan Hadji had a decent game. Joel Cooper, of course, building that match fitness up as well. I thought he looked pretty decent. Osai looked okay, and I am literally going through the players, even though we've got to still do the player ratings. But what I'm trying to say is these players that aren't normally playing and probably will not play on Saturday, or didn't play last Saturday. Sorry, apologies for that. The camera just died there. But if we're talking more about giving the headache, and that's I think where we were, just had to restore the memory card on the camera. Apologies for that. But where we were talking about giving Carl Robinson a serious headache in terms of selection, there certainly definitely is one, because who do you play on Saturday? Because Sykes obviously not being fit, and we just spoke about Cooper there building up that match fitness, and different players that aren't playing on Saturday and probably will not play on Saturday. They're asking some serious questions, because if Robbie Orr probably could come in for Sykes, Sykes didn't have the best of games against Lincoln. I can't remember exactly what player rating I gave him, but he certainly was not at his best. So I think there certainly is an aspect of these players now giving Carl Robinson a severe and utter headache in terms of, you should be playing me because I'm showing this, this and this. And I think if we talk about, and more specifically about what is this, what and this, I'm talking hunger, quality and professionalism, because I think that's exactly what those players gave Carl Robinson last night. We lost the game on penalties, and we'll speak about the penalty situation, but in my opinion it was more about the performance last night. And before we even went into the game, we could have lost that game 3-0. But if we had showed commitment, hunger, quality, professionalism, and we looked like we wanted to win, and we were playing at our best, and trying, from the players that were playing, and we were playing at the top level that I know we can with those players, I think I would have still been happy with that. But what we did today was what we did not just do, just those three in terms of hunger, quality, professionalism. Not just that, but we also showed that we can score a goal with that, and we got very unlucky with conceding a goal in the last minute. But up till that point, just a lack of concentration, and we concede a goal. But, that's what a top quality side is going to do to you. That is what a top quality side is going to do to you with top quality players. So, a much better performance. We showed lots of different things. Hunger from all those players, hungry to get back into the side, hungry to show Carl why they should be playing on Saturday, and when they should be, really given an opportunity, because Robbie Orr wasn't even named on the bench against Lincoln. And I think he certainly should be. And we'll be speaking about that in the preview in the next coming days on the podcast. But quality as well, like I said there, that we had to show a performance. We had to bounce back with a performance. And it's a red, it's a red circle in terms of a defeat, but it's not a red circle in my opinion. It's a green one, because what we did show was that real commitment. And that real professionalism in terms of getting a decent result. It's a draw, to be honest with you. It's a penalty shootout at the end of it, I get it, but it's a draw, and should have been a win, because we should have taken more of the chances. We weren't great in front of goal, to be honest with you, but we created chances, which we didn't do against Lincoln, and that's what's important. We did not create enough chances against Lincoln, and that's why we lost the game 2-0. Whereas tonight, Osai should have scored a hatful. Hall should have scored with that header. I mean, we say could have, should. He probably couldn't have done anything more. It was a fantastic save. But these are top quality big chances that we messed up last night. But I think we created those chances, and we did take one of them. It was a really, really good goal from Robbie Orr. So I think we've got to be honest with ourselves and say it was a good performance. We lost on penalties, but we drew the game. And if that was a league game, it's a draw. And we probably, if it was a league game, we probably would be saying we should have won the game, because the chances we had, we should have certainly taken. But top quality goalkeeper, they had last night, and I think it was difficult for us, but we did very well. Disappointing goal to concede, like I said there as well. It's a cheap goal, it's a silly goal, of course, to concede. I think they just did very, very well to get into position. I can't exactly remember the goal fantastically well. Obviously, it did turn out to nearly be an open goal for him, but I think generally I thought we were very, very good up to that point. Lack of concentration at the last minute, and if you just lose a concentration for literally 1 second, a blink of an eye, and a team like that can pounce on you. So disappointed, of course, but what can you do? It's a top quality side. I think we were better. We were the better side, in my opinion, throughout the entire game. We lost, but we were the best team throughout. And like I keep saying, the performance is much more important than the result. It sounds like a pre-season phrase, but to be honest with you, after a performance of that against Lincoln, we needed to come back with a performance. We needed to show people what we were all about. We heard there was a Sunderland scout in the game as well watching us, and I don't think they're going to be going back to Sunderland and saying, we've got 3 points here, boys. They're going to be a rollover on Saturday. I don't think that's the case. We're going to show that we mean serious business, and that's without the likes of Taylor. That's without the likes of Marcus McGuane. Of course, he came on as well. Brannigan, I didn't see much of Brannigan in the game, but I thought he looked pretty decent when he was playing. And then obviously came off because I'm guessing he's resting him for Saturday. But you haven't got those sort of players. You haven't got Eastwood in goal, but I think Stevens did fantastically well. You haven't got Rob Atkins to the back instead of Messinho, which does get you that extra piece of pace. But I don't think Messinho did that badly until he came off injured. So, that performance on top of some more players that can come in. But if I'm being honest, that's been disrespectful to the players that played last night, because I think Anthony Ford could walk into the side that played against Lincoln, because we were abysmal against them and we were fantastic against Watford last night. We created a few chances against Lincoln, but not enough to score. And I think that's exactly why we did so well last night, was because we created chances. We looked like the better side throughout. We only scored one. We lost on penalties, but it's lottery and it's a disappointment. We lost the penalties 3-0. We didn't score a single penalty and they saved all 3. Sorry, that's exactly the same thing, but they saved all 3 penalties of ours, and they scored every single one of their penalties. But they had a fantastic keeper on great form, and that showed in the penalty shootout and during the game as well. So not too much complaining there. We lost the game, but I'm not bothered about that at all. But Sunderland's a big one. Sunderland is a really, really big one. I think if the players show the commitment that they did last night, I think we should be okay against Sunderland, who obviously drew their first game of the season. But we'll come on to that in the preview as well. I don't want to sort of get sidetracked there. But a good performance from them, a good performance from all the boys last night. In terms of player rating, let's crack on with that. Jack Stevens has got himself a 7 out of 10 last night, because I think he was very, very good. I thought he made a very, very good save from that header from a corner in the second half. I thought generally he commanded his box very well. I thought that other one where when the ball sort of just came out and he just sort of changed his body to move his body so he could obviously not be outside the box, and I thought that was really, really good from Jack Stevens. I thought generally he had a very, very good game, and he is seriously asking questions and seriously challenging Simon Eastwood. I still think Simon Eastwood is our number one. I think he will be for the foreseeable future. But I think Jack Stevens to have a top quality second goalkeeper. I think Jack Stevens is certainly having a good one, and really, really impressed with him. So happy with it, Jack Stevens for sure. Right back to start, obviously we did make a few changes, but we started with Sam Long at right back, and I am sort of taking in consideration the fact he played right back and centre back last night. Sorry, left back and centre back last night. Just get mixed up every time. I thought at left back he looked very, very good. I thought very, very solid. That one where in the second half when he sort of got beaten first and came back and did a fantastic tackle. That's the legs, that's the commitment, and that's the Oxford United passion you're going to get with Sam Long. I thought it was superb last night. And I also thought going from a centre back to a left back. I know we conceded when he was in centre back, but it wasn't his fault. I thought generally he looked pretty solid when he was there. Didn't really have to do that much, but I thought he was solid and certainly not a weakness, not a standout weakness by any stretch of the imagination. And I thought at left back I did very well. I remember none of those positions are his favourite position. I thought he did really well. 7 out of 10 for him, just above average last night for Sammy. I thought he did very, very well. Elliot Moore has got himself a 6 out of 10 last night. Not because he did something incredibly badly. He's got a 6 because that's average. I don't think Elliot Moore had to do that much. He should have probably scored a few. Not scored a few, but I think he should have definitely maybe challenged for a header. Or a few headers when the balls went in the box. We put some good balls into the box last night. I don't think our taller players, more physical players got and took them too well. And Elliot Moore was one of them. I thought he should have done probably better than that. 6 out of 10 for him, but very, very solid defensively, which is what we want from our centre half. Our second centre half, John Messinho, thought he had a very, very decent game until he got obviously subbed off. I thought at times he did sort of look like he was a little bit slow in terms of they had some very quick, fiery players going forwards. Of course, ex-Oxford loanee, Jerome St Clair was playing, and some very, very quick players around him as well. I think that did sort of struggle John Mousinho at times. But I thought what you get with John Mousinho is a standout, no-nonsense centre-half that will do anything to get the ball out. I thought John Mousinho did that very, very well last night. He showed passion, again, for Oxford United. He showed that leadership that we want from him. I thought John Mousinho was superb. Not superb, otherwise it would have been a 10, but definitely top, very, 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 very average for Mousinho. But, average is sort of one of those words that makes him sound, not very good. You say you've got an average performance, it's not, doesn't, he had a good performance for John Mousinho, but, I'm not going to take into consideration the leadership he offers. I'm taking sort of his performance on the pitch as 6 out of 10, but times that by having that leadership, not being in the side for a long time. I was really impressed with John Mousinho there. Right back was Sean Clare. Really, really excited to see what Sean Clare could offer. We haven't seen a lot of Sean Clare. I thought he was really, really good. I thought he certainly cemented himself at a place in the lineup against Sunderland. Obviously, he came off as well, which is another sort of guarantees player to rest him. Understand, obviously, he didn't play against Lincoln, and I thought he probably should have played against Lincoln, to be honest with you. I think he would have been a good option at right back in. Against Lincoln. I know Sam Long does, I know Sam Long sort of did play, and I did say he deserved to play, but I think in terms of Sean Clare's ability, I think he probably did deserve to play against Lincoln. I wouldn't have been complaining if he had done, but I was happy that Sam Long did. But he certainly should be playing at right back, and he's probably going to have no choice not to have a choice about who he's going to play in full back and a centre back, because everyone else, every other cover option is injured. So it looks like it's going to be a left back of Sam Long. I wish it was Josh Ruffles, but obviously we know about that injury now. Probably Sam Long at left back. Not his favourite position, of course. He obviously is a right back, but obviously having to play at left back due to the lack of left back cover, or no left back cover we've got at Oxford at the moment. Or we maybe could sign a player between now and Saturday, but today's Wednesday, and this episode should come out on Wednesday, so it's only given us, we're not going to get one today, so it's only given us Thursday, Friday, and even if we sign someone on Friday, I doubt he's going to be playing. He wouldn't have been training for a while for Oxford, so I doubt he's going to start for Saturday. So it's too late to buy anyone that's going to come in and play left back against Sunderland on Saturday. So I think we're too late there. But either way, I think Sam Long's is very, very good cover in the fullback areas, and it is very, very solid. So I'm not too worried about that. But I thought Sean Clare today at right back was very, very good, and a really positive right back performance from Sean last night for sure. In midfield, we've got Cameron Brannigan. Didn't see much of Cameron Brannigan last night, but I thought he was. Thought what you get with Cameron Brannigan is what you always get. You get that sort of those difficult tackles that he breaks up the midfield and quite well, but not just does that as well. He's quite box to box in terms of he gets up the pitch as well and does fantastic pitch all over in midfield. The attacking threat you get with Cameron Brannigan is also fantastic. Didn't see a lot of it last night, but certainly some sort of aspects of it. I thought it was an average performance from Cameron. I definitely think he's got to be saving himself for Sunderland, and I definitely think he will be, because he knows how important this game against Sunderland is going to be. And we'll speak some more about that in the preview, like I keep saying as well. My man of the match is up next, and that's Anthony Ford. I thought he was superb. And when I say superb, I don't mean sort of superb with, superb in terms of leadership. I'm talking superb on the pitch in his performance. I thought Anthony Ford was quality today. I thought to go from centre mid to right back, all over the shop. I thought he was fantastic in midfield. I thought some of the passes, some of the run-ins he was making as well. I thought some of the balls he was cutting into the box in terms of dead balls as well were fantastic. Even moving balls into the box, from not a dead ball, from just putting the ball into the box from a potential cross, I thought were fantastic last night for Anthony Ford. I thought he was fantastic in when he moved from centre mid to right back. I thought at times I've been quite critical of him being a right back. I didn't know if that's a position for him, but I certainly do think you get that attacking right back in Anthony Ford. I think he looked pretty decent last night. I think he is probably going to be the only other cover we've got full back without Sam Long, but I prefer Anthony Ford as sort of a winger and midfielder. He definitely gets his best out of him there. I don't think right back's the way forward for him, but I thought when he did move there, he looked pretty decent. But in midfield today, he was superb. Really impressed with Anthony Ford, and that's the first time I've ever done. I think that's the first time I've ever done a player rating on Anthony Ford this season, because I don't think he's played. I don't think he didn't play against Wimbledon, and he didn't play against Lincoln. So first player rating for Ford is an 8 out of 10. He's doing fantastically well here on the Oxford United Young Fan Podcast player ratings. Hopefully that's a way to continue for Anthony Ford, because an 8 out of 10 is very, very good for him. I'm pretty sure Rob Hoare was playing behind the striker and off the wing as well. He was in the graphic before the game. He was sort of pictured behind the striker, and I think that's where he was, sort of in the gap of the striker in midfield, sort of attacking midfield area, if you like. I thought Robbie Hoare was fantastic today. I haven't given him an 8. I've given him a 7 because I think he did sort of quieten off in the second half. But I thought in the first half he was very, very sharp. He obviously got the goal as well. He looked very, very deadly going forward with his dribbling ability as well. He did have a sort of a half chance in the second half when he sort of put one in and curled one round. It looked like he was going bottom left. But other than that, didn't really see much of him in the second half. But I think in the first half, what I saw was really, really positive and certainly should be on the bench on Saturday. I don't think not being on the bench on Saturday is a bit of an insult of Rob Hoare, because I don't think he could have done much more than what he did, scoring a goal. Maybe he should have scored that, he should have scored that header, but I don't think he could have more, if you know what I mean. I think the goalkeeper was top quality last night. I think it was a top quality save. And I think as soon as you knew it was going to penalties with a goalkeeper on that form, it was never going to be easy to beat him. Left wing, of course, we've got Joel Cooper, and he got given him a 6 out of 10 today. I thought Joel Cooper was pretty decent, pretty good going forward for sure. I think Joel Cooper is showing that signs of coming from a non-English divisions, from the non-English divisions, being in Ireland of course, and coming to English divisions. I think he is sort of in that transition stage. He's got a really good potential to be a quality footballer, and he's a quality footballer. But I mean potential to be a top end footballer. In terms of, I definitely think he could be a really, really good player for Oxford United long term. But I think he's not a finished package yet. I think he has got that work to be done. I think he's probably about here. I say the bottom's here. I say he's definitely about here, but I think he could certainly go higher. I think he's a top quality player with top quality potential. Really, really impressed with Joel Cooper. I know he's only 25 or whatever it is, but I think it's even difficult. When I mean potential, I don't mean he's 19 and it could be like a 25. I'm talking he's 25 now, but I think he's got more to offer. And I think that potential isn't going to be like a 3 to 4 year young player potential. This potential could take games, to be honest with you, before he goes from being like this to like this. It's going to take a while. It's about adaptability, but I think Joel Cooper's got it in him. I think he was fantastic last night. I thought his attacking threat was great, but I think he can sort of go from being good, but I think good to excellent. I think that's what Cooper needs to do. I think he's on the right direction to doing that. Really positive from Joel Cooper. Good balls into the box from him as well. Dan Adji, of course, on the right, if I'm not wrong. I thought he did not very, very well. I think he did okay. He's got a 6 out of 10. Pretty average performance from Dan Adji. I think he still does need to offer a little bit more when he plays. I feel like if he wants to play week in, week out, he's got to offer a little bit more. He didn't offer a great deal. He looked pretty decent down the right hand side. I thought he offers strength. We know what Dan Adji can do. He can hold up the ball quite well. He's like a bit of a target man striker, if you like. He's not slow, but he's not very, very quick. And I thought he can really offer sometimes that extra bit of strength down that right hand side. Not a lot of the time you find wingers that are very, very quick, very, very sort of agile, but sort of can get pushed off the ball at times. Dan Adji's the opposite. He's not slow, but he certainly has strength to his ability, and he can power his way through that right hand side or up front or wherever he's playing, or even on the left. Thought Dan Adji was pretty decent, to be honest with you. I think he looks like a really, really decent player. Again, he sort of isn't the finished article. I think we are sort of training him to play down on the right. I think we've got sort of our striker situation in terms of Taylor and Winner. I think that is probably where our striker situation long term is going to. Well, not long term. They're about 30. I mean, Winner was about 29. I think if I'm not wrong, but I mean, sort of that's where the striker situation at the moment is, and I think he's now sort of been traded out to give us cover out on the wide. So I think Dan Adji had a decent performance. Average Dan Adji, I thought 6 out of 10 for him. Up front today, last night, was Derek Osai. I thought he did very, very well. I'm still trying to pronounce his name right. Is it Osai? Still not a clue. I'm going with Osai. And I thought he held at the ball quite well. I thought in the first half he struggled to do hold at the ball. I think he struggled to do what he was doing. I think the ball came to him. I think at times he just lost that. But I think in the second half he did things much better. He ran with the ball very, very well. He's a quick lad as well, a quick, tall lad, which is always good. I thought Osai was really good in the second half. I think what he struggled to in the first half, which was hold onto the ball and hold up the ball in those upper ends of the pitch. I think it's more difficult because I think in the second half, I think Osai certainly did do that. So really impressed with Osai in terms of that. But he should have scored a few more goals. If he had scored a goal, I think I probably would have given him a 7 or an 8. If he had taken a bit more chance, or even tried to, get it on target, one of the chances where he sort of went under his foot the ball, I think we maybe could have pushed it up to a 7. But I think 8 is where it could have been. I think 7's, maybe, but he's got to have a 6 because of those missed chances, unfortunately for him. But all in all, a much better performance from last time. We were giving out 4s, 5s, and 3s in the last match reaction against Lincoln. Today, much more positive. 7s, 6s, and 8s, which I think is really, really fair. 6 has been average, 7's good, very, very good, above average, and 8 is moving towards being, in this case, man of the match. But 8 is a really, really, really good performance from him, and obviously 9 superb. Our numbers work. 10 is excellent. I doubt we're going to see a 10. We might see a 10 this season, but at the moment, the highest I think is 8. I don't think I've given someone higher than 8 in the match. In the match reaction, but that is also because we haven't had an outstanding game yet. Of course, Wimbledon, we sort of just got past Wimbledon on penalties. Lincoln wasn't a great performance by any means. And I don't think tonight we were. I think tonight we were very, very good. I thought I was really impressed with last night's performance, but it wasn't sort of a West Ham 4-0 thrashing where I think we probably should have had 10s in that one if I was doing a match reaction for that West Ham game. For sure, I think. But it wasn't going to be the Carabao Cup fairy tale that we all know and love with the Manchester City visits and the West Ham visits this season. Watford was as close we're going to get to success, and unfortunately that just wasn't able to be the case last night. But I thought a really good performance, and we needed a big performance, and we certainly got it. Thank you very much for listening to the Oxford United versus Watford. Oxford United versus Watford match reaction. Really excited to be back doing match reactions. Sorry there wasn't a preview, but there certainly will be a preview for the Sunderland game, either Thursday or Friday, certainly before the game. And there will obviously be a match reaction for the Sunderland game either Saturday or Sunday, depending on which day it comes out. It will definitely be out either 24 hours, definitely before 24 hours after the game. I understand other people do match reactions, but this is a podcast episode, and I'm really enjoying doing this. So apologies if it is a little bit later than usual. If it's not the day of, it'll definitely be 24 hours after the game itself. Thank you very much for the support you're giving me on the podcast. It's much appreciated. The Young Fan Podcast is always going forwards. If we get 70 subscribers from this episode of the podcast, from this match reaction, it will be much appreciated. Leave a like on this episode of the podcast. Give your predictions. Don't do that. Don't give your predictions. It's already happened. Give your thoughts on the game. You can give your predictions for the Sunderland game, or you can leave that for the preview coming in the next few days. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. It's been great speaking to you all, and I will see you later. Have a good one.